Best Dressed, the fashion YouTuber and influencer named Ashley, most popular for her styling videos like 50 outfits for when you have nothing to wear, with over 16 million views, and her bedroom and apartment makeover videos, which in total have over 25 million views. She was a fashion it girl that started on YouTube around 2015-2016, but really started taking off in 2018, currently sitting at around 3.5 million subscribers. But at the end of 2020, she left YouTube with no direct explanation as to why. People would flood her Instagram comment section with questions asking her where she's been, when she's coming back, to which they would get no response. Today we'll be getting into some of the context around her departure from YouTube and why she might have left, and what she continued doing after. So with all that said, let's get into it. Thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. I am a huge reality TV watcher, which means I am constantly juggling different active subscriptions. I have spent hours collectively trying to organize them and make sure that I can cancel the ones that I don't need anymore. And today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that allows you to manage subscriptions, lower bills, make a custom budget, and grow your savings all in one place. Once you connect your bank account, Rocket Money identifies all of your subscriptions in a single list. From there, you can select the ones that you don't want anymore, and Rocket Money may be able to help you cancel them with just a few taps. This has been pretty amazing for me since I'm often canceling subscriptions during the off seasons of my shows. With Rocket Money, you can also create customized budgets in seconds. The app shows you where your money is going at all times and identifies top spending categories with insights on how you can stay within your budget better. They'll also notify you about upcoming charges or when your balance is low to help you avoid overdraft and late fees, which is all super helpful to me because I'm currently trying to budget for an Asia trip later this year. To try Rocket Money out today and unlock more features with premium, head to rocketmoney.com/JustineKoa or click the link in the video description. Thank you, Rocket Money. And now back to the main video. Ashley's probably most known for her influential fashion taste, unique and intriguing editing style, and quirky personality. Ashley is originally from Maryland, but she moved to California to attend film school at UCLA. Before she became a YouTuber herself, she actually edited videos for other YouTubers like the Sorry Girls. With some encouragement from other friends in the industry, she decided to dedicate more time on her own channel, and things really kicked off from there. There is something really special about the way that Ashley edits her videos that really keeps you hooked and engaged. It's not only interesting from the content of the video, like if she's talking about fashion or even just from her personality, but also just the aesthetics that make it very pleasing, probably coming from her background in film. Her fashion was also special at the time. I remember a lot of videos would involve her layering different pieces or matching things together that maybe you normally wouldn't think could work together. She would thrift clothes and mix and match them with newer items. She would do clothing hauls, but also videos on how to style clothes that are already in your closet or upcycling things that you don't wear anymore. On top of this, her personality was also a big highlight. Ashley always spoke openly about her personal life, sex life, school, relationships. It felt like there was honestly no boundaries when it came to things that she would touch on. She also often shared her unfiltered thoughts about different issues, like when it came to fast fashion and sustainability, or feminism, or gender roles, or stereotypes, or capitalism, or privilege. Internet parasocial relationships are already a thing, but with Ashley's very open, sometimes awkward, and candid personality, it's even more likely that you'd feel like you know her to a degree. I mean, this entire video is gonna come off parasocial because I'm making assumptions based on things Ashley has told us online, totally acknowledging that I don't have the full picture and I don't actually know her. But anyways, this was just another thing that made people really gravitate towards her content. She also had an on a route jewelry collab where she designed a few pieces. You guys, I remember when this came out and I was so excited, but I couldn't afford anything. I was a huge fangirl over the safety pin earrings, but I was just supporting from afar. So the last video that she posted on her YouTube channel was from December 2020. It was a New York City apartment tour video of her $1,800 studio in Manhattan. She didn't say that this was going to be her last video, so her audience was kind of just left hanging. Now we're gonna get into what happened leading up to her disappearance off of YouTube that could indicate reasons for why maybe she left. Just a quick disclaimer again, since Ashley never went out to say, hey guys, this is why I left, we'll never really know. I don't claim to know the answers. It could be a combination of the things we're about to talk about. It could be none of these things. All that I hope from this video is that Ashley supporters can gain some amount of closure or new level of understanding understanding of why she might have left. First of all, the stalker situation. In her New York City apartment tour video, she revealed that she has a stalker. Apparently, some guy threw a toilet paper roll onto her fire escape, asking her on a date and promising that he wouldn't bury her in the woods. I'm pretty sure that would make anyone more wary about what they're posting online. I know a lot of girlies like sharing their New York City apartment tour videos and their apartment hunting videos. I like to watch them because I love seeing apartment floor plans and how people decorate and learning about different New York City neighborhoods. But it really does only take one weirdo creep to really ruin it, and then suddenly you feel super paranoid and don't want to share anything with anyone anymore. Honestly, if this was the only reason that Ashley had to leave YouTube, it's still totally justified. I mean, not to say that you ever need to justify to others why you're not doing something anymore, but if you did have to justify it for some reason, this would have made complete sense on its own. But it wasn't the only thing that was going on. During the months of May, June, July of 2020, there was an increase of discourse online about Ashley being problematic. There was a main video on YouTube that kind of started this conversation around it, saying that Ashley was a problematic influencer, but it's since been deleted. I'll be covering the main points that were brought up in those videos, what's been said in defense of Ashley, and my own thoughts sprinkled throughout. First of all, the topic of sustainability and capitalism. I'm grouping these together because the backlash around them involves similar things that Ashley has done. Ashley received a lot of criticism around her promoting sustainable fashion and frequent anti-capitalism jokes, given her choice of brand deals and sponsorships. Ashley has said that she's passionate about sustainability, but also acknowledged that it is an elitist issue to expect someone to pay $200 for a sustainable dress when they could be making minimum wage or have a lot of student debt, which is a reason that she likes to thrift as an alternative. She says that she wishes she could dive into sustainable fashion fully, but as a college student paying rent in LA, she can't do that. People criticizing her were saying that it's hypocritical to say that you're someone who's passionate about this issue, but then partner with businesses like Amazon or other fast fashion brands like Nasty Gal and Urban Outfitters. And that it's not really an excuse to say that it's because these brands are more affordable and accessible, because the clothes from these big fast fashion retailers also tend to be pretty expensive. Ashley did an Amazon sponsorship video in November 2019 where she made office-friendly outfits using pieces from Amazon. It confused a lot of people, not only for the stance that she has on sustainability, but also from her frequent anti-capitalism jokes, since Amazon and Jeff Bezos are like the embodiment of capitalism. The pieces were also not super affordable either. One of the tops she featured in the video was over $200. So on one hand, she says that sustainable fashion is important, but on the other hand, she's okay with taking deals from brands promoting mass consumption and having potentially shady business practices. So the math wasn't really mathing with some people. Ashley has somewhat addressed criticism, saying that she wants people to find their own balance between sustainable and affordable clothing. She has said that she is not trying to be the spokesperson for how to be navigating everything the right and most perfect way. In a vlog from June 2020, she shared that there's so much privilege to even begin thinking about the environment. Not everyone has access to sustainable brands location-wise, affordability-wise, size-wise, so she's tried to talk about it with a balance of showing things that you can invest in, but also showing things more accessible to people in college or just starting their careers, since that was most of her audience. And commenting that sustainability online has kind of co-opted into this consumerist aesthetic rather than actually being sustainable. She also acknowledged that a lot of credit around sustainability often goes towards white women, to a certain extent herself included, when in reality, the people who are truly the most sustainable are the ones that are abstaining from consumerist culture altogether. Living in smaller spaces, taking less vacations, not driving a car, etc. It's just about balance and looking at your life as a whole rather than going on social media and trying to appear perfectly sustainable. Ashley also got heat for attending New York Fashion Week for similar reasons of sustainability and just everything wrong with the fashion industry. Ashley did include a bit of a disclaimer at the end of her last New York Fashion Week vlog, saying that she almost didn't post any of the content from that week because at some point she felt so disgusted by all of it. It felt self-indulgent, opulent, and elitist. In the weeks following the event, she was thinking, F this, no one wants to see her gallivanting around fashion shows and talking about designer shit. But ultimately, she acknowledges the two sides of the fashion industry, the materialism, elitist mindset, unhealthy body standards, but also the joy for artistic expression, art, and emotion. At first, she said with her cynical mindset that if this isn't achieving the most and promoting world peace and saving lives, then what's the point in her posting this? But then she was editing and seeing people's excitement around their art and inspirations and her own excitement around it, and it made her appreciate the space in the world for art and entertainment. She says even if it seems superficial superficial, it's something that makes her happy, so she doesn't think it's superficial. In my opinion, a lot of people critique her for not being as sustainable as whatever goalpost that they have in their mind is, when she's never claimed to be hitting that unclear, totally subjective goalpost. If anything, her going to Fashion Week, but also sharing her candid, conflicting thoughts on the matter, her promoting thrifting and being more mindful about your consumption, but also taking brand deals with fast fashion brands that a lot of her audience shops at, and just her actual actions are what she's actually claiming to be. An imperfect girl that is balancing her love and passion for fashion with also mindfulness of her environment. And to many people, that might not hit their goalpost, but that's not inherently her being problematic. I do think if she was claiming to be this 100% sustainable queen, but was doing all of these things, then yeah, that's dumb. But she wasn't doing that. To me, it feels like a lot of people were upset at her for not being what they wanted her to be. She also got heat for an alleged Depop account where she was selling PR she received. It's not fully confirmed that it really was her Depop, but apparently it was taken down after a fan confronted her about it, and some people said that they did extra digging to verify it was hers. Ashley has admitted in videos that it's hard for her to say no from companies because she has the common mentality of feeling like if it's free, she wants to collect it, but she understands that it is her responsibility to say no to clothing if it's not something that she's gonna wear for years and years. I definitely think she should have or could have given the PR away, either through donation or a giveaway, but I also kind of feel like if people are buying it, then people are buying it. Like, I wouldn't look at this and be like, wow, that's great that she's selling the PR. But also, I'm not really that upset about it at the end of the day. She's one woman profiting off of her career of being an influencer able to receive PR. I don't think that negates her from being able to make jokes and critiques about capitalism as a system. It's like a don't hate the player, hate the game vibe. You can hate the game, but still play it to the best of your ability as an individual. But yeah, her accepting PR when she knows that she's just gonna get rid of it, it's not very sustainable. Similarly, people didn't like that she had a lot of affiliate links for clothing that she wore, mostly on her Instagram posts. This one I really feel like is a non-issue. She is a fashion influencer girly. It makes sense that she has links to clothing that she's wearing. People are going to be asking her where she got things from, and it's not greedy to put an affiliate link on it. It's not like it costs anything more to the person clicking the link. And people were upset that some of these links were to fast fashion brands, but it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because let's face it, majority of her audience could not be able to afford the prices of sustainable brands. If she really was only wearing and licking sustainable clothing, then people definitely would have gotten annoyed at the price. And on the same vein, if the clothes were thrifted, some people would be disappointed that they can't achieve the same look. And you would also have some people saying that you actually shouldn't thrift because you're taking away options from people who can only afford to thrift. Some people also said that she came off as very anti-feminist when she would joke about not wanting to be a housewife. On multiple occasions, she's made being a housewife the butt of her jokes, insinuating that they don't work. I definitely think that's very wrong of her to say and a pretty ignorant view of what a housewife does. Domestic work is still real work and fulfilling work and important work. We're gonna get into it more later in the video, but I think Ashley just had a very negative relationship to work and her self-worth, and it comes out in these types of jokes where she feels the need to be super career driven because that's what she was using to assign her own value. All that said, I do agree with this critique. The wave of criticism and some hate online led to different guru gossip forums that would just be full of people dissecting her personality and all her flaws and mistakes. Some people even shared her full name online and also the town that she grew up in. At some point, people also dug up the salaries of her parents to prove that she grew up rich or at least upper middle class. This part I feel like is just way too far. So people were upset because Ashley has said that she came from a small town in Maryland, her parents were immigrants, and she paid for her own college. I can see how from that POV, you might think that her family was not well off, but apparently they were. And apparently the small town that she grew up in is not so small and actually pretty wealthy. But regardless, to me, it doesn't change the fact that she worked for herself to pay for college, and it doesn't discredit her achievements. Just because her family had money doesn't mean that they gave her money. And of course, growing up in a financially stable household improves your chances of success. But so what? I don't really have a problem with it because she never said that she had to overcome so much adversity to get to the point where she's at. If anything, I feel like she sometimes over-acknowledges her privilege in the sense that she often completely discredits herself and her feelings because other people are less fortunate. I totally get being annoyed when people are out of touch and when people don't acknowledge their privilege at all, but I don't think that Ashley was doing that. I don't really understand why people are harping over this one. There's also been criticisms over Ashley's activism. She got some some backlash after George Floyd's murder for the way that she tried to show support for BLM. She posted these stories, which you can pause to read. Many people criticized her, saying that she centered herself in an issue around the Black community. I'm not trying to invalidate other opinions on this post in regards to whether it was a good post or a bad post, but I do think that her post came with good intentions. I might get pushback from my thoughts on this, but I do feel like her post was trying to relate to the white and Asian parts of her audience as a way to get some of them to wake up and understand and care about BLM. I don't think she was doing it to try and make things about her. She also made a video where she said that 100% of its ad revenue would go to charities working to support Black communities, where she had linked Campaign Zero in the description of the video. She received more backlash there, saying that this is a charity that the Black community has said they don't support and doesn't actually align with their mission. So she removed that charity from the video description but didn't address it. A lot of people have shared the sentiment that they would have felt much better about this whole thing if she just acknowledged where she got things wrong and apologized, which is a whole other thing that she's been getting heat for in general. Basically, amidst all of these criticisms about various things, Ashley has never outright addressed anything. She is known to delete comments that criticize her even when they're not inherently hateful or aggressive. And for the Amazon sponsored video that sparked a lot of backlash, after 6 months she just deleted the video. No explanation or anything. And not to say that anyone has to explain why they delete or private their old posts or videos, but this was a big thing that she was getting heat for and she never addressed it outright. She just deleted it and moved on. I do agree that it would be better for her to acknowledge what people are saying, especially when it's coming from real fans expressing concern. Not to say this as an excuse for not addressing things, but it does make sense to me why specifically she would have trouble with it. Her personality type doesn't seem like the kind to take criticism very well, and I don't think it's because she doesn't listen to what other people are saying, but I think it just affects her mental health very deeply, which doesn't mean she should be exempt from criticism. I'm not saying that. I don't think anyone is exempt from criticism, but I also don't think it makes her a problematic person or influencer for not being able to process it in the best way, especially when the people calling her to address it have never been in a situation where thousands of people are calling on you to speak on something. At the end of the day, for her as an individual, is it more important to prioritize her mental health and well-being than it is to publicly acknowledge and apologize for each critique of her? I honestly think so. And we as viewers can choose to still support her or not. That's fair. In some ways, I think her departure from YouTube could have been her acknowledging that even she herself thinks that it's not the best to be operating like this without addressing things, which is why she just didn't want to be a YouTuber anymore. This isn't me saying that any specific individual person went too far. Everyone has a right to have their own opinion and share it. And I really don't think most people who started these critiques were ever trying to cancel Ashley in any way. Most of them came from a good place. But there definitely was a lot of criticism, and although criticism is valid, it's also sometimes just someone's negative opinion. So having a lot of negative opinions around her and feeling even more like there's this magnifying glass on everything she says and does could have contributed to her not feeling welcome on the platform and not wanting to post as much. Like, some people want the girlie to speak, but when she speaks, she's never going to say the right thing. So then it's like she doesn't want to speak at all, because then that's just going to lead to even more criticism and all of that. Ashley has also shared in various vlogs or Q&A videos during the pandemic that her mental health really took a decline. In a June 2020 vlog, she talked about how she spent the first couple months of quarantine denying her own feelings because she recognized how lucky she was to be able to work from home and that she didn't have to risk her life every day. She didn't let herself mourn things that she did lose in her life because she knew that she didn't have it the worst. She felt bad because she signed a lease in New York City just 1 month before the pandemic hit. Her friends had moved away. She was quarantining alone in her 200 square foot apartment and was just losing a sense of self. She had just started making strides towards her main goal of starting a clothing line, but then all of this had obviously put a pause on it. She spent every night bawling about childhood trauma and feeling like she was a bad kid. There was just a lot of negative emotions. And when processing those negative emotions and mental health decline during the pandemic, she posted a video in September 2020 called How 2020 Has Me Feeling. She talked about how living in New York City has been for her through quarantine and the realizations that she's had around her constantly beating herself up, feeling like she's not achieving reading enough or doing enough, her appreciation for her friends, her coming to terms with the fact that she's always been a future-oriented type of person and has trouble living in the present. It honestly felt like a short film. She had clearly worked very hard on the video, not just the editing and the cinematography, but also the script and what she wanted to say. But she received a sizable amount of backlash saying that she was romanticizing the pandemic, which is interesting because she had just a few months prior in May posted a day in the life in quarantine video about her time quarantining alone, where she spoke about how she hesitates to take life lessons from a global pandemic that is literally killing people. But she had also felt more positive watching other people vlog about what their life was like quarantining alone and sharing their thoughts and their experiences, and she hoped that she could be that for other people. I just feel like people commenting that she wasn't reading the room were actually the ones not reading the room. Ashley was posting a video on her own channel, a channel where she's been sharing her experiences and thoughts. So many people have had conversations with others about what they were able to learn about themselves during quarantine. So many people felt lonely and had dark thoughts. People picked up new or old hobbies and skills. They regained appreciation for little things in life. One experience doesn't invalidate another. Her sharing her experience on her channel doesn't take away from the hardship that others also experienced. And her video wasn't even like, la-di-da, the pandemic has been great for me, look at all these amazing things. It's just her sharing her experience with the goods and the bads. It's like the argument that we can't let ourselves feel bad because other people feel worse, or we're not allowed to find small positives out of an overall negative situation. This was also just another instance that could contribute to why Ashley didn't feel as welcome on YouTube anymore. Ashley has also shared a lot leading up to her departure from YouTube, the fact that she doesn't have the healthiest relationship with work. In a video with Damon Dominique from November 2019, Ashley talked about how in other careers, if you do a better job, it usually means that you make more money, but it's not necessarily the case when it comes to their career. With being a YouTuber or an influencer, a lot of clout and respect comes from working with bigger brands and getting bigger deals. But sometimes when you make more money from a big brand deal, it could actually mean you're making worse content and not being happy with the content you're making. And these brand deals can be really hard to say no to because of the high pay. There's a balance of how you can continue to make content that is authentic to yourself while still making a living. She said that she did consider going back to a 9-to-5 job and doing YouTube as a hobby so that she wouldn't have to think about how much money she makes off of videos anymore. For example, the chatty videos always make less money than the fashion videos since the fashion ones are materialistic content, so advertisers get a better click-through rate on those types of videos. And since the YouTube platform caters towards advertisers, it's gonna promote those videos more. And since your livelihood depends on good video performance, you end up just making stuff that fits that algorithm. So then it becomes no longer what you want to do, it's what you think will get views. In March 2020, Ashley posted a quick channel update video where she shared that she's only going to be posting 2 to 3 times a month instead of every week because it's been really hard for her to keep up with the same schedule and keep the same quality bar. There would be times that the deadline to post the video is already there, but she didn't feel good about the quality of the video yet, so she'd end up posting it but beating herself up over it. She would rather be able to put out videos when she really likes them and feels that they're ready. She does all the work herself for her videos because she enjoys the creative process and wants to make videos the way that she wants to make them without any additional influences. She does feel guilty when she's not visibly busy to people, since on YouTube you really only get to see that she was working when she posts a video. But the times that she feels she's actually working the hardest is when people don't see her because she's either disappeared to edit or to write or to test out a new camera. She could continue making the same fashion video each week just to meet deadlines, but she would hate not making anything new or exciting. She just needs extra time to create good content. In the video, she also shared that she needs some time to see a therapist and work on her mental health. I feel like this is the difference between creators who create because they genuinely want to create something good versus people who create just for money or for fame and attention. She could have just kept making those fashion videos that were making her a lot of money, but she didn't want to because that wasn't fulfilling. In her May 2020 quarantine vlog, she shared that ever since she went to high school, all of her time hasn't felt like her own. She always feels like she owes someone something with her time, whether it's needing to study, do homework, or edit YouTube videos. At age 21, she was already fantasizing about not having to work anymore, but then realized that that wouldn't be her ideal since she actually thrives on wanting to work for something. She called herself the queen of delayed gratification, always putting off having fun and experiencing things, but now she realized that there's not always a later. So basically what I take from this is that her work-life balance has been completely off for a majority of her life, which I can definitely relate to. In another quarantine vlog in June 2020, she acknowledged her toxic relationship with herself and and work. She used to treat herself really badly, like pulling all-nighters, eating one meal per day, feeling guilty for relaxing, just so that she could keep working to get more videos out and get more subscribers. She bullied herself in her mind, telling herself that she wasn't good enough until she achieved more. Since graduating college, she had some panic attacks about her videos since she has a very perfectionist mindset, but now she's trying to shift her mindset to be more exploration oriented rather than achievement oriented. But just because she was able to acknowledge that this was a problem didn't mean that she was able to just solve it overnight. I think that with everything Ashley has shared with her relationship to work and its effect on her mental health, it makes sense that she was not operating at a pace that was sustainable in the long run. At the same time, she battled with the ethics behind the work that she was doing, what success really meant to her, and if it was possible to even be successful while remaining authentic to herself and her morals. Throughout 2020, she may have tried to produce content that felt more authentic to her and still received backlash, like with her How 2020 Has Me Feeling video. So it could have just been giving her more of that lose-lose situation kind of feeling. On top of the already immense workload of producing her high-quality videos all herself was the overthinking aspect. I don't think Ashley was ready to process what it would be like to be perceived and criticized by millions of people online. I don't think anyone is ever really ready for that, but her personality and own mental health issues only put her in a position where it was even worse to deal with. Her Instagram bio literally says professional overthinker, which I think fits with the personality that she's shown us online through her constantly giving disclaimers and caveats and showing her own conflicting thoughts and ideas, even when there wasn't always a solid conclusion to them yet. One example of her overthinking is in her video explaining why she's leaving LA and announcing her move to New York. Before she even shares her negative experiences with LA, she feels the need to caveat it with saying that she knows that these aren't the biggest problems in the world and that she's fortunate to be able to even afford rent in LA and to be able to even consider moving to more expensive cities like New York or London. It's as if every time she has a negative opinion on something, she needs to put a disclaimer that she knows it's not the worst thing in the world. And every time she has a positive opinion on something, she needs to put a disclaimer that she understands that there's also negative sides to it and it's not the most important or best thing in the world. When we engage in everyday conversation with people, we understand these caveats. Your friend can complain about their day and you can see that it's totally valid and be there for them without telling them that someone else had a worse day. And you could say maybe she was only overthinking because it had to do with her posting her opinions online and she didn't want to offend anyone or be misunderstood, but it also just seems like it's in her own personality. Like when she shared her mental health decline during the pandemic and she wouldn't allow herself to feel sad because other people had it worse than her. She did that in multiple videos. I feel like more often than not, every time Ashley would share that she's feeling sad, she would also have to share that she's thinking about other people as well and feels guilty about her own sadness. As an overthinker, she's hyper aware of the many facets to things, and with sharing your thoughts and opinions online, it welcomes more people to share their thoughts and opinions. And especially if you're talking about things like the New York Fashion Week ethical dilemma, you can tell that she really thought about both sides and that she has an open mind with discussing it. But when you're not fully firm in your belief about something and you have an open mind discussing it, when you invite more people to have thoughts and critical opinions, it can easily make you spiral and second guess yourself. And it kind of sucks because having an open mind is a good thing, but it makes you more susceptible to feeling bad when people push back against you versus someone who just doesn't have an open mind and just knows that this is how they feel about it and people push back and it's like, no, you're just dumb. I'm not going to listen to you. It doesn't affect me. Do you guys kind of get what I'm trying to say there? Sorry if it's confusing. She criticizes herself enough that maybe she realized she couldn't keep subjecting herself to even more criticism online. Pairing an overthinker and a self-critical, deprecating personality type with also introducing millions of other opinions onto yourself, it doesn't really seem like a good recipe. And with her doing all of her creative work herself, it's hard to feel grounded and not let online chatter bother you because it'll all feel deeply personal. I also don't think she ever really wanted to be this level of famous or public either. I feel like she's a creative person and wants to design things and film and make art, appreciate art, but when it comes to people criticizing her as a person, picking her apart when none of us have the full picture, I can see how it would just be way too much for her. There's a difference between having your art and your work criticized and judged and having your character and personal actions criticized and judged. Like, was Ashley a problematic hypocrite, or was she just a girl in her early 20s sharing unfiltered thoughts and opinions as she was developing them during a very formative and very stimulating time in her life? You could argue that she then shouldn't have said anything at all, but her being so open was also a main pillar for her channel's success. In the same video explaining her move to New York City, she expressed feeling overrated with having millions of subscribers on YouTube and how she enjoyed spending some time in London where people are much less focused on their work and status. status, and that there's more to someone's identity than the career that they have and how successful they've become in it. She said that she liked the comforting feeling that she doesn't actually matter that much. And I feel like that says everything you need to know about how she feels about fame. I feel that some people thrive online as personalities and can persist through multiple cancellations and scandals. Whether we think that they should or shouldn't continue, they do. And I think that's because they genuinely want to be famous. I mean, compare all of this to the things that someone like Trisha Paytas has been called out for. Trisha Paytas has a very controversial past where she has said and done actually problematic things, but she remains in the public eye long enough for there to be a swing in public opinion of her. Also, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to have Trisha Paytas catch a stray in a best dressed video, but she's just one example that I thought of. There are many other examples to this, but a lot of her supporters will say that she's grown a lot, and a lot of her haters might just not care anymore because they moved on to critiquing someone else. And I'm also not saying that wanting to be famous is inherently a bad thing, but some people want it and some people don't. And some people think they want it and then realize that they don't. Ashley never even did something that was so outrageous enough to be full-on canceled. She still had many supporters who empathized and understood her, but she already was tired of dealing with the public scrutiny that just inherently comes from being a popular YouTuber or influencer. So for a while after leaving YouTube, Ashley would post on her Instagram account with over 1.4 million followers. She would do advertisements for different designer brands like Prada, Coach, Gucci, Marc Jacobs, and more, which makes sense because she's still able to make money doing something related to her passions around fashion and design without facing the immense scrutiny that comes from displaying your personal life and personal opinions on YouTube. It's also a lot quicker to make an Instagram post than a long-form YouTube video. In 2022, she made a video for Gucci that she directed, wrote, and edited herself. It was only 1 minute long, but the quality was giving fully professional film. A lot of people commented saying that they loved the video, hoped that she was doing well and was compensated for the great work, and it reminded them how much they missed her on YouTube. And although the comments were flowing in with questions around her departure, she never did respond to them, and this went on for years. Like, I think it's still going on now. Her last Instagram post from me filming this was a Prada ad that was posted earlier this year in January 2025. I just hope that whatever she's doing now, she's in a better mental state and that she's doing something that she enjoys and gives her fulfillment. She is super talented and a hard worker and a creative. I think that the pressure that came from the YouTube grind and the fame was just not right for her at the time, and it might not ever be right for her. That's up to her to decide. And with all of that, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!